Hello! Today we will be walking through optimizer results and how to interpret those and make changes to your optimizer results. The optimizer is our bulk room assignment tool, and it can be found in the Academics tab under the Scheduling subheader in the Scheduling Sandboxes link. A reminder that the optimizer is known as a sandbox because you can run it as many times as you would like without it touching your production data unless you click Publish within the optimizer run. We are going to go into this spring 2019 run at an 80% seat fill percentage, and we will interpret the results that we have. After an optimizer run has completed, when you click into the optimizer run, it will take you directly to the Results tab. You can always click on the Settings tab to view what settings you ran when you ran this optimizer run. But in our Results tab, we have statistics at the top of our screen. First, we have how many meetings we scheduled, how many meetings were bottlenecked, and how many meetings were infeasible. To the right of that, you can see how many total meetings there were within the term that we ran, how many were optimized, which means how many were actually run through the optimizer to find a room assignment, which means they had a valid days met and time met, how many were able to have room assignments, and how many were unscheduled. Now you can see that the number for unscheduled is quite high, but this number can be combined with anything that was an online course or something like that we would be known as a invalid meeting pattern, as well as your bottlenecks and your infeasibles. I'm going to collapse the top part here. You can see that we also have a nice little chart here to see the scheduled bottlenecks and infeasibles. But towards the bottom is where we can get into the nitty-gritty of our optimizer run. Our first tab that we default to is the tab that will show the scheduled meetings for this optimizer run. You can see our subject, course, and section columns here, the most common columns for us to look at when we're seeing what classes were assigned. And our rooms column defaults to the right in a column here. You can pick up and drag these columns. I'm going to pick up my rooms column and bring it closer to my subject, course, and section, so I can see here are my classes and the rooms that they were assigned to. You can also see the instructors for the classes and what seat fill percentage these classes were assigned as. I ran this optimizer run at an 80% seat fill percentage, and so that is why we only see 80 and above for my classes here. If you are interested in reassigning a class to another space that was in this scheduled meetings tab, you can click the edit pencil here, and it will bring up basically your section information. You can see that this is like the section record, and I can take my scroll bar, scroll over to where my room assignment is for my lecture. I can click the house icon, and it will give me my room scheduling tool where I can change my room assignment based on what I originally looked for. It will pull in any preferences that I ran in the scheduling sandbox, and we can see that I had a preference for a specific region. And so it's showing me just the rooms that are available within that region, but it's also showing me my score. These are all below 80, and this one as score is based on the preferences score as well. And I can come here to my columns and open up the seat fill score to see why it was scheduling the rooms that it did. I can click cancel out of here if I don't want to change the room assignment, and click cancel again. And now we can see the next tab over is our meeting patterns tab. This tab will give us a list of all the meeting patterns for the term that were run through the optimizer. You can see in this term that we had quite a few meeting patterns. And then I can filter and sort to see what my most common meeting patterns were. And as we can see, our Tuesday, Thursday class days were the most common meeting patterns. The meeting pattern tab and the bottleneck rooms tab are the tabs I like to call FYI tabs. As you can view information here, but you cannot change anything or export this information. It is simply letting you know that these are the meeting patterns we used, and these are the rooms that were most commonly bottlenecked. Now, a bottleneck section is two or more sections that tried to go into the same room, but only one of them was available. Now, this tab, Bottleneck Rooms, will show us how many meetings were trying to go into a room and which rooms those were. We can also click the eye icon to view which sections were trying to go into that individual space. Now, bottleneck sections are often resolved by changing a time or by lowering a seat fill percentage to open up which rooms a class could go into. Okay. Go back to our bottleneck sections tab here. And you can interpret a bottleneck section by clicking on the plus sign to see which room the section tried to go into. As we can see, this section tried to go into the new student housing room 104 room. And as we can see, the enrollment was 18 and the max capacity was 20. So it was trying to fit that 80% seat fill percentage. However, if I click on the eye icon here, it will tell me that writing 10, section 17, was actually the room that went into this class, or the class that went into this room. And it had an enrollment of 20. So it had a 100% seat fill percentage, which is why that class was put into that room before this other class. Now, if I lower the seat fill percentage and run the optimizer again, most likely I can find a room assignment or at least more rooms that are available for this class because my seat fill percentage is lower and I can go into a larger classroom. If I would like to just manually assign this class, I can do the same thing as in the Meetings tab by clicking on our Edit pencil and clicking on our house icon to find a room assignment manually. It will bring up the preferences automatically, and I can see which room is available. Our last tab is our Infeasible tab. And the Infeasible tab are sections that were not able to be scheduled because of something either with the preferences or the seat fill percentage. And I'd say about 85% of the time it's due to the seat fill percentage and a room not being able to be assigned based on the size of it. We can see that these hard constraints are the required preferences that we had in our preference set for these classes. For these anthropology classes, most likely there is not a room that is close to this size within the education classroom room type. A way to check that is to open up your settings and then rooms tab to find all the rooms with that room type and see the capacity on them. There could also possibly be conflicting rules for your classes to where the optimizer doesn't know which rule it should obey, so it does not schedule it, and that brings it into the Infeasible tab as well. If you have other questions based on your results within your optimizer run, please don't hesitate to reach out to your client experience manager as they would love to walk through these tabs and these results with you.